would think of bringing the matter up, for both were of the old school, which, rightly, considered details of private money to be of a personal nature. The fact that they both knew would never stop them pretending they did not. It was then almost a shock when M himself mentioned it. The months before Bond received the news of his legacy had been dull with routine. He always found the office paperwork of his job debilitating and boring, but that summer, now 18 months ago, was particularly irksome, especially as he had taken all his leave early, a mistake that condemned him to day after day of files, memos, directives, and other people's reports. As so often happened in Bond's world, there was absolutely nothing, not even a simple confidential courier job, to alleviate the drudgery of those hot months. Then came the legacy. It arrived, literally out of the blue, in a thick manila envelope with a Sydney postmark, and fell with a heavy plop through his letterbox early in the following November. The letter was from a firm of solicitors who for many years had acted for the younger brother of Bond's father, an uncle whom Bond had never seen. Uncle Bruce, it appeared, had died a wealthy man, leaving every penny of his estate to his nephew James, who hitherto had enjoyed a little private money. Now his fortunes were drastically changed. The whole settlement came to around £250,000. There was one condition to the will. Old Uncle Bruce had a sense of humour and decreed that his nephew should spend at least £100,000 within the first 4 months, in a frivolous and extravagant manner. Bond did not have to think twice about how he might best comply with such an eccentric proviso. Bentley motor cars had always been a passion, and he had sorely resented getting rid of the old models that he had owned, driven, enjoyed, and loved. During the last year, he had genuinely lusted after the brand-new Bentley Mulsanne Turbo. When the will was finally through probate, he took himself straight down to Jack Barclay's showrooms in Berkeley Square and ordered the hand-built car, in his old favourite British racing green, with a magnolia interior. 1 month later, he visited the Rolls-Royce car division at Crewe, spending a pleasant day with the chief executive and explaining that he wanted no special technology built into the car apart from a small concealed weapon compartment and a long-range telephone, which would be provided by the security experts at CCS. The Mulsanne Turbo was delivered in the late spring, and Bond, having put down the full price with the order, was happy to get rid of the remaining statutory £30,000 plus by spending it on friends, mainly female, and himself, in a spree of high living such as he had not enjoyed for many years. But 007 was not so easily brought out of the doldrums. He longed for some kind of action, a craving that he slaked with too many late nights, the excitement of the gaming tables, and a lukewarm affair with a girl he had known for years, a small romance that guttered out like a candle flame after a few months. So even this period of lotus-eating failed to remove that unsettled, edgy sense that his life had lost both purpose and direction. There was 1 week, in the late spring, when he found some pleasure with the Q branch armourer, Major Boothroyd, and his delectable assistant, Cute, testing a handgun the service was toying with using on a regular basis, the ASP 9mm, an American-made combat modification of the 9mm Smith & Wesson. Bond found it one of the most satisfying handguns he had ever used. Then, in the middle of August, when London was crowded with tourists and a torpor hung over the Regent's Park headquarters, there came a summons from M's secretary, the faithful Miss Moneypenny, and Bond found himself in his chief's office with Bill Tanner in attendance. It was here, on the 9th floor overlooking the dry, hot, and dusty park, that M surprised him by bringing up the matter of the Australian legacy. Moneypenny was far from her usual flirtatious self, while Bond waited in the outer office, giving him the distinct impression that, whatever the cause of M's summons, the news could not be good. The feeling was heightened once he was allowed into the main office. Both the Chief of Staff and M looked wary. M's eyes did not even meet Bond's, and Tanner hardly turned to acknowledge his presence.
"We have a pair of Russian ambulance chasers in town," M stated, boldly and without emphasis, once Bond was seated in front of his desk.
"Sir?" There was no other possible response to this opening gambit.
"New boys to us," M continued. "No diplomatic cover, French papers, but definitely high-quality ambulance chasers."
The head of service was talking about Russian operatives whose specific task was to recruit potential informants, agents, traitors. "You want me to put them on the first aircraft back to Moscow, sir?" Bond's heart rose a little.